It's been just over a month since the initial Switch 2 presentation. Within that time, it has been an absolute roller coaster of emotions. Going from how fantastic Mario Kart World looks to the terrible pricing of the games, then back to how fun Donkey Kong Bonanza looks, and then to how torturous the pre-order situation was. Safe to say there's a lot of mixed feelings going into the launch of the console, and I've only just scratched the surface there. But through all of it, I would say overall, I'm still very excited. I mean, it's hard to be upset when they showed off so many games for the console within the presentation. Of course, there's Mario Kart World, which you already knew about, but also Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, GameCube Online, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, a ton of huge third-party games, and of course, a brand new 3D Mario. Wait. Nintendo, where's the 3D Mario? Yeah, so I would say the most common prediction going into the Switch 2 presentation was that there was going to be a brand new 3D Mario game shown. I mean, we've been waiting for nearly 8 years since Mario Odyssey launched, or if you want to be a nerd, 4 years since Bowser's Fury. A console's launch seems like a pretty fantastic time to release a 3D Mario game, considering the franchise is, you know, quite popular. However, unfortunately for us, Nintendo has forgotten Super Mario. But it's not over yet. Today, I want to talk about the possibility of if a 3D Mario game could still happen this year. Even if you might not think it's very likely, I have reason to believe there's still a good chance. That reason's called copium. Honestly, I just wanted to talk about this because 1, I like Mario, and 2, I'm in my final week of college and need a short video so I can work on finals. But if you enjoyed this video regardless, even if it is a quicker one, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. Alright, the first point I want to talk about today is if it's already too late to announce the game. By the time this video drops, we'll already be in May, meaning this new 3D Mario game would only have about 7 months to be announced and released by the end of the year. That's a pretty fast cycle, and that's also assuming the game would be announced this month. However, Mario is no stranger to speedrunning. I mean, let's just take a look at Mario Kart here. The first time we officially saw footage of the game was in the Switch 2 teaser on January 16th, and with the console releasing on June 5th, that's less than 6 months between announcement and release. Even quicker than that, we could look at Donkey Kong Bonanza, which was shown on April 2nd and set to release July 17th, which is only about 3.5 months. If Nintendo is willing to do that quick of a cycle for Mario Kart, I'm sure they could absolutely do the same for 3D Mario. Odyssey's cycle was a lot closer to a full year, but it seems like Nintendo is moving in a direction where the cycles go a lot faster. So if Nintendo wants to hold a direct of some kind in June or July, they could definitely squeeze a new 3D Mario in there for the holiday season. Speaking of, that actually brings me to my next point, the fact that we don't really have a holiday game yet. For the original Switch, Mario Odyssey was of course the holiday title, which certainly pushed sales for the console in 2017. But as of right now, we don't have a big Switch 2 exclusive for the 2025 holiday season. Mario Kart is releasing in June, Donkey Kong in July, and while Hyrule Warriors might fill in that holiday title gap, that is not a big system seller franchise. But now I know what some of you might be saying. What about Metroid Prime 4 or Pokemon Legends ZA? While Pokemon is 100% a big enough series to be a holiday title, both of these games are not Switch 2 exclusive. Yes, they are getting Switch 2 versions, but both of them are also releasing on the Switch 1, supposedly on the same day. If their holiday game for this year is on the Switch 1, that would not encourage many people to go out and buy the Switch 2. I feel like Nintendo's job for the launch year is to convince people why they should invest $450 on this thing. Most people that would be looking to get this console this year likely already have a Switch 1, so Nintendo needs a big game to convince people to jump over. Obviously, Mario Kart is a big enough game to do that, but with it being a launch title, there's still a need for a holiday game. Of course, Nintendo could just prove me wrong and have Pokemon be their holiday game for both consoles, but that just feels like a bad decision. But alright, we've established that Nintendo probably needs a holiday game, and that they are comfortable having shorter announcement to release cycles. But those aren't the only factors in the way of a potential 3D Mario game releasing this year. What about the fact that we already got a big first-party 3D platformer in the form of Donkey Kong Bonanza? From everything I've heard, it also sounds like it's being made by the Odyssey team, which has got me very excited for the game. Watching gameplay of it, you can certainly see a lot of resemblance to the Collectathon style of Odyssey, so much so that people have been calling this a sort of Mario Odyssey 2. There's a few other reasons why people are saying that, but for spoiler reasons, I won't mention them here. Point is, would there be a need for both this game and a new 3D Mario to release so close together? This is definitely the point that is the most difficult to argue against, but I don't think it's any nail in the coffin for Mario. For starters, Donkey Kong simply does not sell as well as the main Mario series, so it's not like DK would take away from Mario much. Mario might take away from Donkey Kong though, and I think that's the big issue Nintendo is facing. So, theoretically, Nintendo could announce DK first, and then once it's been released, or close enough to release that everyone is already hyped, then announce the new 3D Mario afterwards. If we are getting a 3D Mario this year for the holiday game, that is the reason I think they haven't announced it yet. And to be fair, I think that's pretty smart. I'm not sure if I'd even look into DK much if I knew a 3D Mario was coming as well. On top of that, 3D Mario is a lot of different things. Obviously, I'm referring to the mainline series here, I'm not counting Mario Tennis or something. But if they want to do Sluggers, I might give them a pass. Anyway, there are 7, technically 8 if you want to count Bowser's Fury, titles in the 3D Mario series. The gameplay between a lot of them though, is so different that you can almost categorize it into 3 different types. First are my favorite, the non-linear collectathons, being 64, Sunshine, Odyssey, and Bowser's Fury. I guess you could argue Bowser's Fury could be in its own category since the whole world is connected, but I think it still falls under collectathon. Then are the fully linear games with 3D Land and 3D World. Finally, there's the category with the Galaxy games, which I like to call the bad ones. No, really, these just take a sort of middle ground approach between the 2 other categories. I would say that Donkey Kong Bonanza definitely falls under the collectathon category, which could mean that a collectathon 3D Mario is off the table. While that's definitely a bit sad since I love the collectathons, I also love the linear games like 3D World. It's been a long time since we got that game, just about 12 years now. If they want to make a new linear 3D Mario in that style, I would not be opposed to that, and I think that's more than possible. That way both DK Bonanza and this new 3D Mario game have completely different gameplay even if both are 3D platformers. A linear 3D Mario game would be great for multiplayer, which doesn't seem to be much of a focus in Bonanza. As much as I love Odyssey, 3D World 100% has the better multiplayer. I mean, it lets you play as Blue Toad. So a more single player centric game versus a more multiplayer centric game would give room for both of these platformers to exist. I still think it's possible a collectathon 3D Mario could happen, but if I were to place a bet now, I'd go with a linear 3D Mario game. If Galaxy 3 happens, I'm gonna lose it. But another potential problem that a new 3D Mario may face is the fact that Nintendo might want to go with a different holiday title instead. So let's just run through some of the possibilities for games I think they could go with. And again, I think a holiday game has to be big, especially for the first year, so I'm not including franchises like Fire Emblem. First up, I want to eliminate Pokemon since obviously ZA is releasing this year, so I doubt a new gen would release alongside it. I guess technically the original Legends Arceus did release only 2 months after the previous Pokemon games, but that was Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and we do not need a repeat of that. The next big franchise I want to eliminate is Zelda. First off, we are getting Hyrule Warriors this year, so I think that's going to be the franchise's main presence on the Switch 2 for 2025. Like I said though, that's not a big enough game for a holiday release, it'd have to be a mainline entry. In terms of that, we did just get a 2D Zelda in the form of Echoes of Wisdom last year, and we got Tears of the Kingdom in 2023. We should know by now that it takes a long time for 3D Zelda games to release, so a new mainline entry doesn't seem probable. The most likely thing would be a remake, and if they do that, I'd hope it'd be of the N64 game since I love Majora's Mask. But even then, I'm not feeling confident in that. I mentioned earlier that GameCube Online games are coming to Switch 2, and one of the 3 launch titles is The Wind Waker. Now obviously they could still do a remake on top of that, but it seems like they may be avoiding games on there that would conflict with current releases. If you take a look at the future games there, you may notice that Mario Kart Double Dash just doesn't exist. That's despite it being the second best-selling game on the console behind Melee, which also isn't there, but Nintendo seems to be against putting Smash Bros on the online service period. To me, the only explanation as to why they do that is because Mario Kart World is releasing soon. Which is very annoying because I need Double Dash for footage, but whatever Nintendo, I guess we can do another NSO Mario Land here. So if they were comfortable putting Wind Waker there, I doubt we would see a new 3D Zelda remake in 2025. Another big franchise is Smash Bros, and I do not see any chance of that happening this year. Smash is one of the few franchises that I think can carry hype by itself for an entire year, so I think it makes more sense for that to come later so people are hyped for the console itself rather than seeing who's getting into Smash. Plus Sakurai is working on Kirby Air Riders, so we probably aren't seeing Smash for a few years. You all are stuck with him. But that leaves 2 franchises that are big enough that I could see happening, though I still don't think they're super likely. First off is Splatoon 4. Yeah, we did get Splatoon 3 in 2022, but that seems like a long enough gap to where they could make another one. Only thing is, the Splatoon franchise is usually a summer release, and despite it being huge, it's still not quite a Mario, Zelda, or Pokemon level franchise. But one that is, or at least is now, is Animal Crossing. This has always been the wild card for Switch 2 predictions because I really don't know how Nintendo would go about it. New Horizons sold like crazy on the Switch 1, only being outsold by Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I could see Nintendo wanting to make a new Animal Crossing quick for the Switch 2, but I could also see them waiting years like they did for New Horizons. Like I said, it's really a wild card. I did mention GameCube Online earlier though, and another big game that was missing was the original Animal Crossing, so that could be evidence for a new Animal Crossing coming. The only thing working against it is just the fact that I feel like winter is always the weakest season in Animal Crossing. There's usually the least amount of stuff to catch during that time, so I feel like spring or summer is the best time to release the game. They still could do Animal Crossing this year for the holiday game, but I feel like it's a lot less likely than a 3D Mario. But with all those franchises out of the way, we still got one more that could be 3D Mario's biggest threat. Oh no. Yeah, there are a lot of different types of Mario games. Obviously, we are getting Mario Kart at launch, but who's to say the holiday game isn't a 2D Mario, for example? Me, I'm the one to say that. Mario Wonder just released in 2023, and while we have had shorter gaps between 2D games before, I feel like Nintendo isn't going to put 2D Mario games close together like that again due to how much backlash the new Super Mario Bros. Series got. It's not impossible, but I would be a bit shocked if they used 2D Mario for the holiday again this soon. Aside from that, there are a ton of Mario spin-offs, but none beside Mario Kart are really big enough to be a holiday title. That is, except for the Mario Maker series. I definitely think we will eventually get a Mario Maker 3, especially because I think the mouse controls of the Joy-Con would work really great with the course builder. While I do think Mario Maker 3 has a somewhat decent shot to be the holiday game, I personally still find the 3D Mario to be more likely. Plus, just because of the nature of the Mario Maker series, each new entry is more like an expansion on the last. Ignore the features that were killed. So while a Mario Maker 3 would be exciting, due to it not being entirely new, I don't know if this would push people to buy the new console. So between a new 3D Mario or Mario Maker 3, the one I think is more likely is a Secret Evil third thing. Mario Maker 3D, let's go! But in all seriousness, for all of these reasons, I still think a 3D Mario game has a chance to launch this year. I wouldn't say we should expect it to, but I think losing out on hope completely isn't the right play either. If it gets to like August without an announcement, yeah, it's looking pretty grim. But for now, I'm gonna continue taking copium and say that a new 3D Mario still has a chance. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you think a new Pikmin game is going to be the holiday title and hate me for not mentioning it? Let me know in the comments. Sorry for this short video, but hopefully you all still found it to be fun regardless. I'll be on the 3D Mario Coke train until the end of time, so I figured why not make a video about my theory here. But before I go, I've got to thank my members being The Chicken Man, Says Sun Villano, Luma, Blessed Tiger, Maidzio2, Yanni the Duck, Wyatt Derpy, Trader Mo, Mevins 2001, Nuclear, Kid Trunks 15, Caddy Shrew, Miss Jade's a Lot, Enchanted Skull, SMA, B Major 2003, Arson the Raboot, Sir Musty, Belandor, Puggles Are Fun, Diluted Colors, Cinder CC, Jade Avery, Pruncel Clone, Thicky Reiki, Ungenio TM, CW McCain, Tibby, JubeTube Tesseract, Mr. McMahon 5702, Hippopotamus, Jameson Pageson, Wilbur, Golden Sandslash 15, Zfrost, Stuffy Ant, Justex, Conkanut Keep, and Christian Flattery Sequel Edition. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.